Can you feel the love in the air today?
Happy Valentine's Day! Today we're going to be talking about love, and we're introducing a special guest today. We did an interview with him, and he has a book called The Book of Love, where it's like he's talking to Jesus and he's channeling Jesus, and this is what the book is about. So I can't wait for you guys to listen to the interview.
Welcome everybody to Manifestation Mindset, where we show you with tips on developing the mindset of manifesting, overcoming emotional challenges, and breaking through limitations. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez, and we go live every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific. And if you want to subscribe to the show, go ahead and click the bell icon so you can receive live notifications of when we go live. And go ahead and click the like button, and we're on YouTube and Facebook, so you can find us on either platform.
Absolutely. So before we get into our interview for today, which is Daniel Prok, and this is a fascinating interview that we did, and you guys are going to get a chance to see him. We always like to start off our shows with a bit of inspiration, and we do an inspirational moment with Veronica.
So today I have a reading from a book. I like to read something inspirational. And this morning, when picking an inspirational moment for the day, this book called Conversations with God reminded me of Daniel, because his book is also about having a conversation with God. And this one's by Neil Donald Walsh. And here's the front copy. It's a little dirty. I think the outside copy got dirty, but that's okay.
It doesn't matter. It's always about the message.
Okay, so in this part it says, all human actions are motivated at their deepest level by one of two emotions, fear or love. In truth, there are only two emotions, only two words in the language of the soul. These are the opposite ends of the great polarity which I created when I produced the universe and your world as you know it today. These are 2 points, the alpha and the omega, which allow the system you call relativity to be. Without these 2 points, without these two ideas about things, no other idea could exist. Every human thought and every human action is based in either love or fear. There is no other human motivation, and all the other ideas are but derivatives of these two. They are simply different versions, different twists, on the same theme. Think on this deeply and you will see that it is true. This is what I have called the sponsoring thought. It is either a thought of love or fear. This is the thought behind the thought behind the thought. It is the first thought. It is the prime force. It is the raw energy that drives the engine of human experience. And here is how human behavior produces repeat experience after repeat experience. It is why humans love, then destroy, then love again. Always there is swing from one emotion to the other. Love sponsors fear. Love sponsors, fear sponsors, love sponsors, fear sponsors, and so on and so forth. And that is the inspirational moment with Conversations with God.
And it's interesting because we were having a conversation with some friends of ours the other day, and we get into these topics of love and why is that in such an important, it's an energy. And our show here is Manifestation Mindset. Our company is Manifestation Mindset Institute. Whatever it is you want to create, if you want to manifest and create great things in your life, one of the great things to cooperate or co-create with Source, the universe, God, whatever you want to call that, is being in that state of love, because it is a very strong energy. We just need to be able to cultivate that, because we can get caught up in fear, we can get caught up in anger, but love is an energy that we want to be able to cultivate all the time because it's such a great feeling.
It is.
And that's what we were talking about.
And I wanted to see if I could find Daniel's bio.
Oh, I have it.
Oh, you have it?
I have everything here.
Okay, good.
I'm all ready to go. It's Valentine's Day, everybody. And so we did this interview with Daniel, and just because of time conflicts, we would love to have him live here, but we have it here for you, and we're going to stay here live with you guys throughout this whole time. But I want you really to grasp the message that he has here. And if you stay tuned, we're going to share a link with you guys. You can get a free copy of Daniel's book, And it's only this link is only good for today for Valentine's Day. It's a special gift he gave to you guys and to us, and so we are very grateful for that. And so we hope you guys enjoy this interview.
All right, so here's a little bit about Daniel Prok. In 2020, the words of the Book of Love dropped into Daniel Prok's mind, and since then he has been guided to write 6 books in a series called The Books of Heaven on Earth. These divine writings were given to Daniel from Jesus the Christ to share with you and the world. Yes, Jesus, the Jesus.
The Jesus.
A believer in better things, including heaven on earth, Daniel works as a life coach, actor, speaker, and author, sharing the concept and the vibration of heaven on earth wherever he goes. Love, health, wealth, wisdom, and freedom. That's heaven on earth for you and everybody, right here and now. So I want to introduce to you guys Daniel Prok, and we had the pleasure of meeting him a few years back, and I hope you enjoy this interview.
Hi, Daniel. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, so excited to reconnect with both of you and to connect with everybody.
Yeah, it's been a few years since we last seen you, or since we
Yeah,
actually met you.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We
Glorious
had
thing,
yeah. Go ahead.
beautiful things have happened, that's for sure. Yeah.
So we haven't seen Daniel in probably a couple of years. We met one time at a mutual friend's party, and we got a chance to we were talking in the kitchen for a while,
Yeah.
and we just acquaintances at the time, and it was just interesting that another friend of ours that we had been talking to for a while was going to have you come speak to one of his meditation groups here in San Diego, and it was like, oh, it's Daniel, and we had no
Yeah.
idea of all the things that we hadn't communicated since then, and it was interesting to see you talking through to that group and hearing all the great things that you've been doing and what has come to you. So my first question for you is, you had these downloads. How did that all start?
Well,
So the
downloads of Jesus, correct? We have to clarify here.
Not a PDF download, but
yeah, yeah, downloads. A little
that's
different than the way
that's what I
that.
call it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Some people call it channeling, downloads. I call it both. Uh, some people, that's a new term either way. But looking back, I realized how I got there. And that's part of what I do want to share with the world too, because I feel like, and I just sense, and I know that there's a lot of noise in the world. There's a lot of things that might happen out there that affect our focus, get us distracted from what's beautiful, glorious, and wonderful, which is in every moment. And also, I had to clear my mind in order to get the wisdom that was always there. These books that I received, uh, they're so magnificent. They really are. And I sometimes it's like, well, I wrote them, but they're from Jesus. They're divine books, and I receive them basically fully written the way that it happens. But I know what I had to do. I had to declutter my mind. It's like we have the wisdom always flowing to us. But if we get mad about something, we cinch off the energy. If we have issues like, say, forgiveness issues, something happened when we were 5 or 10 or 20 years old or yesterday or this morning,
Mm-hmm.
and our mind's cycling this, kind of mad about this, or you know sad about this, or those sort of things. Those
Mhm.
are like blocks,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like the river of wisdom. It's flowing. When we stay with our breath, it tends to keep flowing. And gosh, in 2020, I with whatever was going on in the world, I felt oppression where I lived. So I was like, I got to get out of here. And I went to Sedona. And I've been there before, and the place is amazing. I was supposed to be there for 2 weeks. And after about a week and a half, because it was more like just normal life, like the way life has been up until that point. Uh, people just being smiley, friendly, and liking each other. Um, it was more like that. So after about a week and a half, I was like, I'm not going back. And I added another week. And then after about another week, I was like, I'm not going back. And I kept adding weeks the way that I had my, uh, basically the places I stayed through, these timeshares and all this stuff was going on.
Mhm.
I just kept adding weeks. And several months into it, I was talking to my mom on the phone. She's like, Danny, how long have you been in Sedona? And I was like, I don't know, a couple months. She's like, I think it's been more than that. And I was like, ah. And it was like 4 or 5 months at the time. I ended up
Oh my
staying out there for
gosh.
6 months.
Wow.
6 months. And it cleared my mind to receive the wisdom. This is my perception, but I also know it. The books have always been there. They were waiting for me to catch up to the vibration of them,
Hmm.
Okay.
to practice being loving in every moment. That was part of my practice. If I can close my eyes and feel peace and love, and then I open my eyes, where does the peace and love go when I start thinking?
Hmm.
Mm.
So I started realizing that in the last few years, and I was like, oh, I should be loving all the time because it's always
Hmm.
within. I can be peaceful all the time because it's always within. So I was practicing those things. I filmed a video course leading up to the books. I filmed a video course in Sedona called Becoming Someone Who Loves. I filmed another one called Creating Your Heaven on Earth. I recorded a bunch of meditation audios that are like love based, like amplifying love within you to like do everything you can to be love. And
Mhm.
then in Angel Valley, the book of love started dropping in my mind, and it was specifically, yeah, it's so amazing. But I was in Angel Valley. Uh, Yeah, I think we have time for this. In Angel Valley, I met these women on a women's retreat. One of them tells me she heard of a book called The Book of Love by Jesus.
Mm.
And I just
Mm.
remember thinking, I want that book. Uh, and I said, where would you get the book? She said, I don't know. I heard it got destroyed or taken out of the Alexandria Library. And I said, well, have you read it? And I thought she might have the secret scroll. Uh, and she said, no. And I said, well, where would you find it? And she says, I don't know. And then she just says, but if you want it, you'll find it. And I
Mm.
just remember thinking, Jesus, I want that book. Uh, and I thought someone would send me a YouTube video. If you've ever seen like lost books of the Bible or
Yeah.
Yeah.
lost whatever, there's these types of videos out there. So I figured in a couple weeks I'd get something like that. But then the next morning I wake up in my cabin, I go for a run. I go for a cold plunge in the creek. The water's like 51 degrees. So froze myself, which is good for you, and then took a hot shower, and I was just really pure, really clear. Oh, also Angel Valley, where I was at, they didn't have Wi-Fi service or barely cell phone or
Mm.
Wi-Fi, so
Okay.
I didn't even have that habitual distraction of the phone.
Yeah.
That all helped me clear. Thought I'd mention that because that is important.
Yeah,
That's
for
Yeah.
a
sure.
Okay.
distraction that has us not be clear.
Hmm.
So, but then I felt really just great, like, and then this little voice that I become accustomed to, it's in my inner ears, not in these ears, it's inside, like kind of in the middle of my head. Just this little voice that said, The Book of Love by Jesus the Christ, channeled by Daniel Prok. My
Wow.
Mm.
beloved, it is with great love that I share these ideas with you. And it's just, it kept cycling, and, it's like, it's dropping in. It's almost like I get an email notification in my mind. I only get the subject and a few lines of what's coming, but that's about it. And I just took my phone in my hand and a little microphone for the voiceover work that I do, and just sat on my bed in Angel Valley and just went like that, clear my mind. When the words drop in, I just speak them. And when it was done, the first segment, I looked at the phone and it was a 41-minute recording. That's a
Mm.
long time to talk.
Yeah,
And I
it
felt
is.
more love than I've ever felt, ever. Like the way that you might feel if you hug someone, like a husband or wife or boyfriend, girlfriend, like really embrace with love,
Hmm.
like amplify that by 1,000 or 10,000 or
Mm.
like, ah. And even talking about it gets me back in the vibe. It feels so good
That's
just
cool.
talking about it. And then I was going to get up and start doing some stuff. And then I just had a feeling like, don't get up and start doing things. This love's in you all the time. stay in this feeling. You're supposed to feel like this all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I just stayed on the bed, just breathed in my heart and milked it like, for about a half hour. It felt so good. And then when I started getting up to do something, the Book of Love by Jesus the Christ, channeled by Daniel Prok, chapter 2. And I was like, all right, here we go. So got the first 2 chapters, and then the next day I got the rest of the book. I didn't know if I was getting some huge Bible or what. So now I'm at first it's like, I got the Book of Love, it's dropping in. But this is the whole channeling or downloads. I didn't receive anything in my life before Sedona. So Sedona helped me because the vibration's very good. Hiking, being out in nature helped me because the vibration's really pure, and being out of the distractions or clutter of maybe humanity. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that helped me be in a state of being to be at peace and be open and start receiving, I'd just say, God's glory in the form of a book. Yeah, so I got the Book of Love, and then the Book of Light was the next one that dropped in about a month later. And then the Book of Heaven, I got this one back in La Jolla, where I live, when I came back. And I actually started filming the downloads. I just thought maybe people would want to see what this is like, because some people might be like, is it Jesus? What's up, Dan? What's up, Dan? We've known you in like funny movies or commercials, or I mean, back in the day, I was kind of this wild, go to the bars, party guy. I've done all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden it's like, Jesus had some messages for you to bring to the world. So on my YouTube channel, the downloads videos are for the Book of Heaven and the Book of Life. You can go to my YouTube channel, just look up Daniel Prok, and you can find, a lot of times I'll be at the beach wearing a baseball cap because I'll be exercising. My vibe's really good. And then everything starts dropping in. It just, cool. and I just hold up my camera in front of me. I'm like, hey guys, here we go. I'm Dan Prok. We got chapter 2 of the book of whatever is the next segment starts dropping in when my vibration's really high.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it's been beautiful. And really the most beautiful thing is I believe in heaven on earth. I believe in, and we all can believe in something better. And we naturally do believe in something better than what we're experiencing. Mm-hmm. But when we really go steps further, and the books help us define what heaven on earth would be. It's really living a life filled with love and health and wealth and wisdom and freedom and beauty and glory and light and God's light as well. So there's these 9 and heaven, which is really what we are. That's that's an interesting part of the whole thing. But there are these divine truths. You are love. You are light. You are beauty. You are glory. God only makes beautiful and glorious things. So that's what you are. And you are health. Health is our natural, original state of being. Mm-hmm. You are wealth. Wealth is a permanent construct in creation. Wisdom, God's wisdom's always flowing. We just need to be there to receive it. And freedom is our God-given birthright. Those are actually truths of existence, of creation. And these books help us define our lives and the world with those truths. And then we're really letting go of the lies and the lack that we might have learned. I did, I think a lot of people learn to be angry, watch our parents arguing. Oh, that's how you deal with each other. Little babies, this big. And then they're like just looking around, don't even speak their language yet, but they're looking around, absorbing those patterns, of anger, of fear, of lack, of just of less than. When God is everything and we are one with that. So yeah, it's been a beautiful couple of years. My acting career is kind of revving up again too, so all of it's happening. But it's cool. Nice that I can put a book in people's hands and let them get a download in a way. And this is also a way to connect all of us together. Because it's one thing if I get downloads and you get downloads, that might be, what if we all got the same download in our mind? That'd be great,
Mm-hmm.
but it wouldn't connect us all together as God's people.
Yeah.
So there is some beautiful reasoning and way about these books that uh, I get the download and then we can share it in a way. So yeah, it's beautiful how it all happens and somehow all divinely orchestrated. We're going back to the Garden of Eden, and it's not really going back. It's our perceptions. We can perceive life in any way. And when we perceive it as love, light, beauty, glory, health, wealth, wisdom, and freedom, specifically in our mental body, to get our mind to see life that way, so that then our mind works that way, and our physical senses, our eyes see the beauty, our ears hear the beauty, we touch, taste, and smell the beauty and the glory. When all that's happening, oh, life's so good. When I go to the beach now, it's like a symphony of sound when the waves crash. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Just the way the sun glistens on the waves, I could just watch it, mesmerized by how
Mm-hmm.
beautiful it is. Not even the sunset, just any time out there. It's like, wow, I'm seeing what was always there.
Yeah.
It's always been the Garden of Eden. It's always been the most beautiful life that we could ever imagine and more. And I'm still conditioning myself to live it and know it and be it. But even just to make a lot of the progress I've made in the last few years, it's really a beautiful world that we live in. And that's my focus. So I'm gonna stay in it. I'm gonna keep talking about it. I'm gonna help others believe in it. And then we all vibrate it together, and heaven on earth for everybody.
That's awesome. And it's amazing that this just happened like a year and a half to 2 years ago. Is that correct? And it
Yeah.
just, it's like the moment you just let go of stuff, and you were able to connect and hear what, like you said, what was always there. And it's amazing that, a lot of people, the more they're able to let go, it's like their connection to source will just only get stronger.
Yeah,
That's very
absolutely.
cool. Yeah.
Our connection to source is permanent.
Yeah.
That's a permanent thing as well. And I still have to remind myself at times, like, I'm
Yeah.
not separate from anything.
Mhm.
God's not separate from me. Jesus
Mhm.
isn't separate from me. Holy Spirit. And a lot of people have different words that they use to describe God. So,
Mhm.
for anyone not to get caught up in those words per se, because God is so much. God gives us ways to understand the Creator, but it's so beautiful. It's all within. It's
Yeah.
all within,
Yeah.
and it's all in every. It's in every particle of the world around you, the spaces between every particle, in every particle of creation, are those divine truths. Um, and however we define our life is the way life is going to be. That's a big part about it.
Yeah.
That's a big part about it. And having that mindset, reprogramming the mindset that you may have learned, which is like discordant thought processes, limiting beliefs about yourself and others and about the world,
Mhm.
it's based on experience. So it's that, it's
Yeah.
based on looking around and being like, oh, our family didn't really have enough of this or that.
Mhm.
And thinking, okay, I experienced this once or twice or 1,000 times, so that's how life works. To be more masterful is to define life the way you want it to be,
Mhm.
more so than the way it is. Unless what's going on is awesome in whatever part of your life, then you define it like that. It's like, I got great friends, we laugh all the time, we enjoy each other's company, then keep defining that. But if there's some stuff that you really don't prefer, you can start redefining your life, redefining this world, telling yourself another story about yourself and the world. And in this present moment, create a whole new paradigm for yourself and for the world around you is beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah.
Is beautiful. And then letting go, like we
Mhm.
mentioned together before, letting go of the stuff that's other than that preferred life.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful. You know, when I see on the beach, I see the ocean, and it's like, wow. It's just a reminder of several things. It's the beauty in me seeing the beauty, and that beauty is not just on the beach, it's in every moment of our life.
Mhm.
It's not like it's over there, but it's not here. It's when I go to these places, but not in these other places. It's all within. It's a
Yeah.
Mhm.
perception. So
Yeah.
really fine tuning our internal, uh, just the way we operate. That's really what's been going on for me. And then life just gets more beautiful. It's
Awesome.
amazing.
It's interesting because when Veronica is really the one who's helped me to open up more on a spiritual basis. If I looked at if I went back to my past self, I say maybe 10, 15, or before that, to kind of see everything that I'm doing right now, I don't know if I would have believed it back then, but my experiences have shown me something different, and we've had a lot of different experiences over the last few years. You know, is that something similar for you? Have you always been into this area, and believe in all this, or was there just like a certain steps? Like you said, you were given this gift of these books a couple years ago. What was going on before that, and would you have believed that you'd be doing anything like this?
Before a couple years ago, I wouldn't have even thought I could skip breakfast and do intermittent fasting. I was like, you guys are crazy. Skip breakfast? You're nuts. And now, so now I have these different eating patterns. I eat in a smaller window during the day, so I stay healthy and pretty much shredded. Uh, but I would have thought that was impossible, let alone, yeah, Dan, Jesus got you some books that are ready to help humanity. I don't know who knows if I would have believed it or not, but I've changed a ton. Probably
Mhm.
10 years ago, I didn't even love myself.
Wow.
I
Mhm.
remember, uh, I think I was in my parents' basement living back in Denver. This was about 10 years ago. Life just was going. And
Mhm.
I remember specifically, we got to think good thoughts because I was living with my brother in downtown Denver. And I just remember thinking, worst case, and things weren't going well financially. And I just remember thinking, worst case scenario, I could just go live back with my parents if I needed to. And when you think a thought like that, maybe you think it twice a day, maybe you think it every day for a few weeks. And then 3, 4 months into it, I'm living in my parents' basement,
Mm.
no money, no car. And yeah, but doing some things with personal growth, probably getting on some webinars about different good topics, and just the topic of love and loving yourself. I was just like, am I supposed to love myself? I know I should love others and be loving, but loving myself, is that selfish? So I
Mm.
had blocks even there about
Yeah.
self-love. And then when I moved to San Diego, I remember riding the bike that I borrowed around. I borrowed a bike, so I was riding it around town. I didn't have a car when I first moved here. And I just remember riding the bike saying, I love myself, sometimes in my head, but sometimes out loud, like, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. Just to like reprogram my
Mhm.
mind that that's true.
Mhm.
Because gosh, the mind is the mind has a lot going on. Let me just say that. Because some things we know inside, deeper in our heart and our soul,
Mhm.
deeper we know that we are love. We know to love ourselves. We know to exude like to be love. We know that, but even the mind back then was probably saying some things to me like, "Oh, is it okay to love? You should love God." But don't love yourself, like stuff
Kind
like
of
that.
questioning it, huh?
Yeah, questioning it and going back and forth. So I had to go from not loving myself, this is 10 years ago, to self-love. And then I started defining love, like I'm loving, lovable, loved, and adored. I'd say stuff like that, like I'm loving and lovable, being able to be loved, and also loved and adored. I just, I want the energy I'd have to keep defining love in different ways to get out of the kind of the kind of, I guess, restricted energy of not loving myself and probably not loving others as much as I even thought I did. But yeah, revving up the love vibe over the course of 10 years. I've enjoyed personal growth and development. So maybe 15 years ago, Tony Robbins came into play, and Abraham Hicks, and
Yeah.
some others like Mind Valley. So
Okay.
studying and then going deeper within myself, deeper within, in my heart, in my soul, in the core of my being, in my divinity. Like those are new concepts, but Sedona, I was picking up on a lot of the concepts of the books before the books. I was like, oh, love, even with whatever happened, I guess the health, that topic of health, I was like, I just started telling myself God's divine health flows through me constantly. I was like, how do I need to deal with some health issue out there? I was like, I got to put up a force field. Like God's divine health flows through me constantly, and that's it. I was just saying that with force, just like putting up this energetic barrier. And then the books reinforce, like, let me know, like, yeah, health is your natural state of being. It's really the way that God makes things. Lack of that is learned of the world, but you are not of this world,
Okay.
that type of thing. Yeah, you are of the creator of all that is. So, yeah, it's like, well, probably this was probably always in me, but I grew up in a big family with 7 kids. My parents were educators, so we were sharing stuff. Uh, you know, one brother reaches for the biggest piece of chicken fastest, at a dinner, like goes in and swipes the big piece. And I'm like, hold on, man. I think that was for dad because he's bigger. And, and he just goes in and grabs it. So yeah, we learned lack. We learned some different patterns. I learned less than patterns, and I've had to restructure my mind over time and my behaviors and routines. And you know how it is. Yeah, just reconstructing life, and really, right, it's aligning with my divinity. That's really the big thing, aligning our entire being with our divinity, with God within, with the greatest characteristics of God, and having that be the way that we just say that's just how life works. And we can believe that we can believe in love. If I keep it simple, I say 5: love, health, wealth, wisdom, freedom. So love's in our emotional body, right? Love, happiness, joy. Just imagine your life in that bubble of energy that is you. Love, happiness, joy, fun and laughter with those you love the most. Imagine that being permanent. And then health, your physical body, your mind, health, and having that be permanent. And wealth being the physical world around you, being abundant. Could be luxurious, opulent. You have a nice home, you have plenty of food, you live in plenty. Wealth, so that's permanent. And then wisdom, you and everyone connected to their divine wisdom flowing. And then freedom is all of our God's given birthright, and it's a true expression of our soul, of your soul. So if you even keep that 5, and we all can believe in something better than our experience. We do it all the time.
Yeah.
Right now, if you're hungry and you want a bite to eat, you've done it so many times, but there's no food in your hand. Well, maybe there is for some of you, but for Veronica and Aaron, I don't see food right there, but you will quickly go from hunger to imagination to manifestation It's like either in your house, could be down the road, could be ordering food, could be whatever. You're going from the invisible to the visible.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going from some situation to that better situation. Having our lives run from the state of love, health, wealth, wisdom, and freedom, and that's just how it works. And then as a collective, as societies, it's like our nation and civilization, we just run from love, health, wealth, wisdom, and freedom for everyone. That's just how we operate. And then the systems and those sort of things that would support those uh, five divine truths, which are what we actually are. It's just believing what we actually are. We are all
Yeah.
those things.
Yeah.
So, and how life works. So when we connect and when the two of you and me say, oh, it doesn't matter what this story is in the world, we believe in love and we practice unconditional love. That's how life works. And someone else says, yeah, but what about this group and this group and this country and this country? We believe in love.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it works. Facts, that's a fact.
Yeah.
And when we believe that, we create a collective belief and agreement. And to change the world, say there's 8 billion people, you don't really need 8 billion to believe in something to change the whole collective energy of the whole.
Mm-hmm.
For years, I thought about this. I was like, well, the Maharishi effect. Do you all know how that works, the Maharishi effect?
I haven't heard that one.
So it's when a small group of people resonate in a certain way, often through meditation, they change a collective. So there can be a group of people, say, and they've done studies on this. So y'all can Google Maharishi effect. You'll see studies like in the 70s, groups would meditate for peace during war times in Israel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 150 people meditate for peace, and war-related activities statistically go down while they meditate. So that concept resonated with me when I learned about it, probably 10 years ago in my parents' basement. It was there for sure. And I was figuring it out. I was like, how does this thing work? And then I realized, okay, how was America created? There were 56 people signed a Declaration of Independence from a situation that they felt that they were living down here, being oppressed, and they wanted their independence. So 56 transformed the whole. I think there were 12.5 million people in the colonies at that time. So it doesn't take everyone to energetic. I just see it in a certain way because I know what happened. They believed from the inside the way that they were going to have life be. And they signed something, a document, which is energetically, it's a concept. And they signed the Declaration of Independence. And their energy together, they said, we're changing the whole.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't take 12.5 million people in the colonies. It took 56. And then there's others who believe that too. But yeah, the Maharishi effect talks about that. There's an equation involved. It's the square root of 1% of the population. So if you had a school of 2,500 students, 2,500 times 1% square root of that whole thing, it would take 5 students in this concept, 5 to make a change in the whole.
Yeah.
So civil rights movements, Martin Luther King and leaders then, they were like, we're not living down here anymore. It's sometimes it's like you've had it, it's like people have just had it because they've been oppressed. And maybe that's what happened to me a bit, in 2020. I was like, this isn't like some nice advice that is being given to me of what we're supposed to do. It's like, this is oppression and this is, I was like, and it shot me off into Sedona, and I was like, I want freedom. I want love. I want health. I want to go on the other side of whatever it looks like in the world.
Yeah.
So that's where the Declaration of Heaven on Earth, where that book came in, because I actually prayed about it while I was in Sedona. I was like, we need some sort of document that could be a collective belief. And nothing can stop a collective belief from coming true. Nothing can stop it.
Yeah.
but it's invisible to our eyes and we can't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Our physical senses, we're so accustomed. And I speak in this way because it's like I know from the books and I know this operates. I'm still becoming masterful at it, but let me say, so don't think I've always lived like, oh, my physical senses are just for experiencing reality. They don't really create reality. I've learned those things over time. Um, but yeah, our beliefs, you can't see them. But when
Yeah.
10 people are standing there and they believe the same thing and it's a beautiful thing,
It's
those
powerful.
people energetically are changing the whole earth matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's changing around those people, and everything is transforming into that heaven on earth concept that I'm sure you believe. If you use those words or other words,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it's the same. You know, it's the oneness. Some people say 5D, new earth.
Mm-hmm.
uh, I just give it those five big five: love, health, wealth, wisdom, and freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we define life like that, it is like that. And then we experience it. We create societies and communities and organizations around those truths. And then just imagine walking around in that world.
Yeah.
Everyone's your friend.
That's
Every
awesome.
country is friends with the next country.
Yeah.
The leader of one nation is buddies with the leader of the next nation. They're all filled with God's love and light.
Mm-hmm.
So why? So it's harmony and cooperation. And just imagine the upliftment. Also imagine how much progress humanity has made, even with the old patterns of lack and manipulation and different things. Like
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
imagine how much all of society being built, even with that influence that had people like, oh, build it and then knock it down, build it, not, it's been that
Mm-hmm.
pattern my whole life. I didn't realize that pattern had been there my whole life in the
Yeah.
collective with
Mm-hmm.
some forces in the world. But when we energetically just say, no, it's heaven on earth.
Mm-hmm.
It's just heaven on earth. It's just heaven on earth. Oh, it looks like that. Oh, the news story said, oh, okay. And guess what? It's still beauty and glory in every moment. It's still love in every moment. And it's taken me a while to practice that,
Mm-hmm.
to ease my mind, still continuing to ease my mind so my mind doesn't react to the old stories the way it used to.
Yeah.
I see a story. Oh, it's like I just let it be. It's like that just is. I'll just let it drift, and I'm just going to stay focused on
Mm-hmm.
heaven on earth
Yeah.
and create that. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
That's awesome. Yeah, Aaron and I actually participated in a worldwide group meditation. It the energy was supposed to be directed in this one location, and I guess they had a lot of issues there. And
Yeah.
after the meditation, they saw the changes, like violence went down, all kinds of stuff started to change. So I know that that's powerful and that it works. So you know it only takes just a few people to make a big change like that. So I believe in it.
Yeah, and then the other thing too is we talked about this, and for those that are watching right now, is we're talking about love here, and if we
Hmm.
all come in a collective of love, is how much great change can we spread out to the entire world.
Yeah.
But it can also work in the opposite direction. We have too many people that are focusing on fear and everything that's going wrong in the world, and everybody's angry. That creates another frequency and a vibration, and that sets up a whole another thing in the world. So if it's just changing your focus and your attention,
Hmm.
and it's like, how can we be more loving? And what I heard you say earlier, Daniel, was different types of love. There's loving others, loving yourself, being lovable. It's that giving and receiving concept. Is we know people that will give love to everybody, but they can't accept it back to themselves. And so there has to be equal parts. There has to be a balance between all those equations. And I love what you're saying with this. And this we're doing this episode is Valentine's Day,
Yeah.
and it's just to remind us a day, even though there's a lot of commercialism behind it, but it is a day just to remind us to be loving to everybody, whether you're with somebody right now in a loving relationship, but also maybe it's time to have a relationship and be more loving to yourself today. And how can you spread more love? And I love that message that you're sharing and with the books that you have.
Yeah, every word you said was beautiful, and something, uh, knowing the love is within. So no matter what it looks like out there, the love is actually within. And
Mm-hmm.
it is expressed in infinite ways. So
Hmm.
giving love, giving a smile, receiving a smile, hugging someone, giving a gift. There's infinite ways that it's manifested. And then knowing that it's within, even if it looks to, once again, our physical eyesight, because that's what happens is our eyesight might see something that looks other than that and believe that that's true.
Hmm.
When the truth is, it's love within and it's all love and it's always been love. It's always been love. It's
Yeah.
always been pure light. Everything is pure light. There is no darkness. Darkness is a perception of the mind. It's a misperception of the mind. The mind has been programmed to perceive darkness when it's only infinite light. It's only infinite light.
Hmm.
And light travels fast. Those photons travel at 186,000 miles per second. That light travels fast, but God's light is infinitely faster than the speed of light that we try to measure as humans.
Mm-hmm.
It's infinite light. It's only been light the whole time. The Garden of Eden is there, was there, always will be there the whole time. I'm just finally seeing it when I go to the beach and in this present moment, seeing it again in this cool, another way. And being able to share a concept and a vibration with people just to let everyone know it's always been there. The love for you has always been there. Joy has always been there. Peace is there. It's inside of us. Our eyes can be tricked.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff
For
looks
sure.
different than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to believe, and it goes back to believing in better than what we see. And being aware if our mind gets triggered into some sort of negative emotion by what we see, and just be aware, okay, when certain things happen in my life that I see or hear or experience, sometimes it triggers me and drops me into negative emotion. That's a little
Mm-hmm.
exercise I've been doing for the last few years. I just write out what triggers me into negative emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And then it's like having a list of things that are on a daily obstacle course almost, or it's like if you were playing a video game and you played level one
Mm-hmm.
and
Hmm.
level two and level three and four, and you know when the certain character comes out, and you know when you have to shoot this thing or jump back and jump forward, use combinations. You have to have a strategy for all these parts of the video game. But once you play it enough times, you kind of know what's coming, right?
Yeah.
So in life, we're experiencing probably a repetition of things that trigger our mind in a negative emotion. For
Hmm.
me, it was like the news when I talked to certain family members, uh, certain movies, or just certain themes. But I made my list, and then this is in Sedona. I made my list. I made a video about it on my YouTube channel too. That helped clear my mind because it was like, okay, these things are already happening. What's my strategy? Okay, when I talk to this person, let me just breathe into my heart the whole time. I know I'm probably gonna hear whatever they usually have to say, but I'll breathe into my heart and I'll just let that conversation drift past me, not make
Mm-hmm.
a big
Hmm.
deal out of it, just kind of be at peace about it. And then a lot of that stuff goes away too, because it
Yeah.
helps. Yeah, it's like reality just becomes more of a peaceful thing when our mind's not going into the negative reactive patterns.
Yeah.
So, yeah, staying within, living more in our heart and soul. Peace and love is always inside of us. So, when we can manage that, the external world ends up being more like that too. Uh, yeah, and it's all about the love. The love
It's
and the big five. I keep saying love, health, wealth, wisdom, and freedom. Because then life's beautiful when you got all those things happening.
yeah.
That's a great life as a human being. That's a great life. Also, just mentioning, there's so much more to you than your humanness.
Mm.
So much more to
Mm-hmm.
everyone. It's
Yeah.
like growing up thinking I'm a human with this personality, with this body. I think thoughts, I feel a certain way, I interact with life. So much more.
Yeah, for sure.
Like so much more. There's people, yeah, there's so many earth angels out there. There's light workers. There's people who are just connecting to your higher self, your true self, your holy self, your blessed self, your God self, which would be your permanent connection to God, the creator, your one self unifying completely. And the books talk more about them, and I'm giving you this much when there's that much. Just know there's so much more to you than your humanness. And yeah, I want to say this for everyone listening. If you can imagine your angelic self, like what an angel would be, if you identify with that, and that angelicness, it's like an expanded version of you, like more love, more light, more confidence, more knowing, more joy, like in every moment. And then you have your humanness, and then you have an expanded, like an angelic self. To live more as that, as your permanent construct in the way you operate, and let your human self catch up to that. And then operate as your human self with those knowings, and then more, because you are so powerful, creative, you're infinite, you're beautiful. And to know that so much more than any story that you ever heard about yourself or about the world that's other than that, and you're just like, I just know it's God's glory in every moment. I am God's glory. The world is God's glory. Everything I see, hear, touch, taste, and smell is God's glory. And practice living in that and being that, and then elevate even further. So
Awesome.
yeah, I want to bless people with my words as much as I can, to uplift and to give people shifts in their perspectives and perceptions. Because when our perspectives and perceptions really align with God's glory, so that's the way we see the world. When our perceptions change, our whole reality changes. When we perceive ourselves as beautiful, because we are, then our whole reality shifts around that. So yeah, it's beautiful. I love talking to y'all about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and speaking of love, you have the book of love that you're giving away just today only, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So the books, I'll show you them. So there's the Book of Love, right? So you can find that on Amazon, Amazon.com. You can also find it at danielprok.com/books. And it's just one day only when I set these free ebook giveaways up on Amazon. So on this day of the broadcast, for this 24-hour window, when you go on Amazon, you'll see the Kindle ebook for $0. You don't have to own a Kindle to download it. Amazon links up to the Kindle app on your phone. So it's really easy to use. And then we've got El Libro del Amor. I'll just show the books so we got the Declaration of Heaven on Earth.
Let me bring this up on a bigger picture so you're going to see yourself a little bigger here. Now go ahead and show them.
Okay. There's the Declaration of Heaven on Earth. And the Great Awakening, that helped me. That was when I woke up. Yeah, it's like whatever I thought was the way life was, it's like, I just woke up to some certain things in the world. But it helped me to see it and kind of let it go and then focus so much on what I want. So the Book of Life, and then the Book of Light, and then the Book of Heaven. So they're all available as paperback or ebooks on Amazon.com and danielprok.com/books. There's links in all those ways. These books will really bless you. I speak the way I do now. 2 years ago, I wouldn't be speaking like this. God's glory and beauty in every moment.
We didn't have this conversation, you and I, Daniel.
No.
Every moment is the most beautiful moment in creation because everything is here and now.
Yeah.
Every moment we experience has to be the most beautiful, glorious, glorified moment in creation because it's all right here and right now.
Yeah.
I didn't have that in my thought processes growing up or in high school or, yeah, not even close. And now I know that, and I still practice seeing it and
Mhm.
Yeah.
practice hearing it and feeling it. And when I'm having a conversation with people, to stay in that, that's the part of, that's the masterful part of it, is to be able to stay in that truth no matter what you see, hear, touch, taste, and smell, no matter what story's going on, no matter what person saying this or that,
Mhm.
uh, no matter what the conversation is, to stay in that knowing, it's the most beautiful, glorious, it's a masterpiece. You are God's masterpiece. You are God's perfection. Perfection. God only makes perfect things.
Mhm.
God only makes perfect things. And get this, you probably know this, you might have heard it a different way. God made our beliefs work so perfectly that if we believe in imperfection, then that is what happens. If we
Yeah.
believe in lack, if we believe there's not enough, if we believe that group of people is this way and our group is different, whatever we believe, it all comes true.
Mhm.
So God made the system so perfectly that it even works perfect. It might look like imperfection, but anytime that I hear people say, well, it's an imperfect world, you're creating that based on what we see. It's easy to say it's an imperfect world. It's easy to say these two groups don't get along. It's easy to say, oh, it's a scary, that's easy
Yeah.
because it's what people might see. But to live from within and reprogram the whole matrix with your vibration, and then you experience life from your new state of being, which aligns with the truth of creation, which is love, health, wealth, wisdom, and freedom for everybody, and God's light, God's beauty, and God's glory, which is what we all are, and then start shifting that whole thing day to day, moment to moment.
Awesome.
It's so much better. It's just so much better. It's so beautiful. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, Daniel, we want to thank you so much for being here with us today. It's been a pleasure, and just to hear the story, we see you just lighting up talking about this. And like I said, we had a conversation for at least over an hour a couple years ago, and this was not the
No,
conversation that we
not
had.
at
It was a
all.
good conversation, but it was nothing on this topic. So it's interesting to see how everybody evolves
Mhm.
and changes over the years. And I'm just so excited about the work, and we're excited to check out your books and see those as well. And we hope that you guys get an opportunity to see that. We'll have the links to you guys again today only. You guys can get your own copy of the Book of Love on Amazon. We'll make sure you guys have all that. I want to thank Daniel for providing that for everybody here. And just my heart is grateful right now. I know Veronica's is.
Yeah, and I'm just happy to be able to share this with our audience and get you out there, get your books out, because I know that it's it's something that is going to change how people view things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm grateful for both of you to reconnect like this. Uh, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
a beautiful world that we live in.
Yeah.
And and I'll say this again, it does take a more masterful approach to life to define life the way you want it to be than the way you see it as in front of your face.
Yeah.
Like you might see something right in front of your face, and in that moment, you might have to say, I'm believing in heaven on earth. I'm believing in health for everyone involved with this situation, right? While I'm looking at something that looks like other than that, I'm
Yeah.
believing in health. I'm believing in wealth for everybody. I'm believing in love for everybody. And when you do that over and over, you just drift into this reality where, gosh, there really are smiley, happy, friendly people everywhere you go, and beautiful things. And you notice so many things, that hummingbirds will fly past you and
Mhm.
butterflies, and just the way that the light glistens off things around me. It's like there's these like light shines on me wherever I go outside. It's like shining off. When I talk about light, I end up getting light in all these different ways. It ends up just like shining at me. It's bouncing off some car, like extra lights coming in right now.
That's cool.
Yeah, just keep describing, keep talking about, use your words. They're so powerful. They're so powerful. When someone says, how are you? Say, I'm glorious. I'm beautiful. I'm magnificent. I'm spectacular. I'm blessed.
Yeah.
Use words like that in those moments. And then you do that for a few days, weeks, months. Your words will just create that. And you'll realize, wow, I am blessed. You'll just, life will be so good. So, and I just appreciate you all connecting with me to get this to happen. All these books, and I'll just say, all the books of Heaven on Earth, they're on Amazon.com. They're also at danielprok.com/books. You can find me on Instagram at I Love Brother Dan. And you might see book stuff. You might see my acting stuff. You might see some funny stuff. Because I'm still going to star in comedy movies. That's the thing. I was talking to one of my buddies. I was like, I'm still going to be making movies like Wedding Crashers and Old School and just funny, wild, great rides. I'm still going to be doing that. I was like, now I'm also going to be doing Heaven on Earth and the Jesus books and all this. So somehow they're all fitting together.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And if anyone does need personal life coaching, one-on-one work, I do that as well. So there's just a lot of content that's out there for everyone to pick up between the books and my YouTube channel and video courses and all that you can find. If you need help one-on-one personally, you'll be able to find me.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Everybody, Daniel Prok, thank you so much for being here. And you guys can find him on all his links. Get the book today. And Daniel, thank you so much again for being here with us. And we're going to keep connecting. And we'll see you and talk to you soon.
All right. God bless y'all. Heaven on earth for everyone.
All right. Bye. Wow. So what did you guys think about that interview that we did with Daniel Prok? I thought it was a really powerful interview.
Yeah, it was a great interview and perfect day to talk about the Book of Love. So get your free copy on Amazon. We put the link in the comments, and
it'll also be in the descriptions here on the post. On we're here on YouTube and Facebook. YouTube is already up there on our links. If you haven't done so already, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our page. You can look under Manifestation Mindset Show, or you can go to the link right here, which is aaronveronica.com. That will take you directly to our YouTube page. But the links are there, and it's for today only.
Yeah, today only, Valentine's Day. So that's Daniel's gift to you, our gift to you. And we hope you enjoyed today's interview.
And again, you guys can join us every Monday live 9 a.m. Pacific time here on Facebook and YouTube. Just make sure to hit the like buttons and get the reminder notifications when you click that bell icon. That way you get reminded each time that we go live here on the Manifestation Mindset. Again, we are your hosts. I'm Dr. Aaron Garcia.
And I'm Veronica Mendez, and we will see you next time.
All right, guys. Happy Valentine's Day.
Bye.
Bye.